I've always loved the quiet. I moved up to this little cabin in rural upstate New York about 5 years ago, away from the chaos of the city. The place is big, secluded, and the woods stretch out far beyond my property. The nearest neighbor is miles away, and the only sounds you can hear are the wind in the trees and the occasional bird chirping in the distance. It's peaceful, and that's how I like it. Fishing is my thing. I spend most of my time on the lake that sits just behind my house. It's the perfect place to escape everything. I don't mind being alone. Hell, I enjoy it. The cabin has a huge deck that looks out over the woods. I often sit out there with a cold beer in my hand, watching the sun dip behind the trees and listen to the nighttime sounds of the woods. It's always been peaceful, until recently. It started about 2 weeks ago. I was on the deck like usual, just staring into the dark, when I heard something. A snap of a twig in the distance. I didn't think much of it. Deer maybe, or a raccoon. The woods are full of life, and I've gotten used to the noises over the years. But as the days went by, the sounds became more frequent. At first, it was just that, twigs snapping or leaves rustling, things I thought were just animals. But then, one night, I heard something different. A scratching sound. It came from the side of the house, somewhere near the window of the spare bedroom. It was quiet, almost like it was trying to be sneaky. I stood up my chair, heart pounding a little faster than usual. I waited, but nothing came after that. Probably just a squirrel, I told myself. But I didn't feel right. I decided to go inside and lock up for the night. The next evening, I heard it again. The scratching. It wasn't just at the side of the house anymore. Now it was closer. It sounded like it was coming from right outside the spare bedroom window. I froze, listening carefully, my nerves starting to fray. I couldn't explain it, but something felt off. I went to the window, pulling the curtains back slightly to see what was outside. The moonlight illuminated the trees, casting long shadows across the yard. The wind was still, and everything seemed normal. No animal, no person. I shook my head, telling myself that I was just letting my imagination run wild. It was probably a branch brushing up against the window, or maybe the wind. I convinced myself it wasn't anything to worry about and went to bed. The next night, the scratching returned. It wasn't just scratching anymore, though. It sounded like light tapping, as if someone were tapping on the window, trying to get my attention. My heart skipped a beat, and I jumped out of bed. I grabbed a flashlight and crept through the dark hallway toward the spare bedroom. When I reached the window, I shone the flashlight outside. There was nothing there. No person, no animal, just the same empty woods. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. I couldn't explain it, but something was wrong. The air around me felt thick, heavy. I went back to bed, but I couldn't sleep. Every little noise seemed louder, and every creak of the floorboard sounded like someone was moving around in the house. I stayed awake, listening, but eventually I fell asleep out of sheer exhaustion. The nights went on, and the sounds didn't stop. I'd hear them every night, always the same. A tap, a scratch, sometimes even a faint whisper that seemed to come from within the walls. I tried to ignore it, but it was getting harder. One night, I decided to confront whatever was causing it. Maybe it was just an animal, I thought. Maybe a raccoon or some other critter had found its way inside. I grabbed a crowbar from the shed out back, figuring it might be a good idea to have something in case things got weird. I went to the spare bedroom and carefully opened the door. The air inside felt stale, like it hadn't been touched in ages. I hadn't used the room in months. I shone the flashlight around the room, moving slowly, checking every corner, under the bed, behind the dresser. Nothing. I stood there for a minute, feeling like an idiot. There was nothing. It was just the same old room, empty. But as I turned to leave, I noticed something. The closet door was slightly ajar. I don't remember leaving it that way. My stomach dropped. I slowly walked over and pulled open the door. Nothing was inside, but as I shone the flashlight into the back corner of the closet, I saw something strange. A small piece of cloth caught on the edge of the wall. It was dark, torn, almost like a piece of clothing. My breath caught in my throat. I couldn't think straight. My mind raced. Was someone here? Had someone been inside my room? I backed out of the room, my heart thudding in my chest. I slammed the door shut and bolted it. I couldn't stay in that house another second. I went outside, hoping the fresh air would clear my mind. The darkness of the woods felt like it was closing in on me, but I tried to shake it off. Maybe it was just my nerves. Maybe the isolation was getting to me. I slept on the couch that night, a baseball bat within reach, but I didn't hear anything. No scratching, no tapping. It was quiet, almost too quiet. The next night, I decided to be brave. I was going to stay in my bed, and I wasn't going to let whatever this was drive me out of my own house. But just as I was about to drift off to sleep, I heard it again. The tap, tap, tap against the window. I jumped up, heart racing, and grabbed the flashlight. I ran to the spare bedroom, not caring how loud my footsteps were. This time, when I pulled back the curtain, I didn't just see the woods. I saw a shadow. Someone standing just outside the window, barely visible in the dim light. I froze, my blood running cold. I turned around, my mind spinning. Who was that? What were they doing here? I didn't want to believe it, but there was no denying it now. Someone had been outside my house, and they had been watching me. I ran to the phone and called 911, my hand shaking so much that I could barely dial. The operator answered, and I could barely speak through the panic in my voice. "Someone's been outside my house," I said, "and I think they're still here." I gave them my address, and they said they'd send someone out right away. I hung up and looked around the room. I needed to leave. I couldn't stay here anymore. But as I turned to grab my jacket, I heard something from the hallway. A slow creak. Someone was moving through the house. I didn't hesitate. I ran for the back door, flinging it open and tearing through the woods. I ran as fast as I could, not stopping to look back, my lungs burning with every step. By the time I made it to the edge of the property, I could see the flashing lights of the police cars in the distance. I slowed down, my body trembling, and I hid behind a tree, watching. The officers arrived at the house, guns drawn, searching the place, but I didn't stick around to find out what happened. I couldn't. I knew that whatever or whoever had been in that house, it wasn't done. I wasn't safe there anymore. I haven't gone back since. I followed up with the police to let them know I was all right so there wouldn't be a search out for me. The cabin is still there, sitting alone in the woods, but it doesn't feel like home anymore. Every time I close my eyes, I hear the tapping sound. I don't know who was in my house or what they wanted, but I know one thing for sure. They were waiting for me, and they're still out there.